Dental Ventures. Welcome back in here to the limited series podcast for dentists looking to do a startup. And we're going to have some marketing tips for you, but we go a little bit deeper than that, right? We're going to talk about leadership and how leadership, that vision of leadership, affects your culture, which is that look, act, and feel of your practice. And then that culture driving your brand, that brand that your patients love, that they're going to go out there and they're going to refer you and recommend you. And then, of course, how all of that really helps build a strong foundation for your marketing so that you're not wasting any of those marketing dollars. So if you want to ramp up a lot quicker, turn a 2-year build out into a 1-year build out, this is the tips that you need. So today we're going to talk about your blueprint. And I think this is really important because I find that most dentists are aware of the type of office that they want. Like, kind of, I know what it's going to look like, but it's still very important in the beginning stages to think about your ideal patient. So I'll give you an example. I was going through the leadership branding workshop with a client, and he's a pediatric dentist. And he said, this is about kids, and we want kids to feel safe. We want kids to not have any anxiety. And so we were talking through that, and he got about halfway through it. He was talking about primary colors, bean bags, the different things that pediatric offices usually have. And he said, you know what? I actually feel like the moms are my ideal patient because they're bringing the kids in. We know we're going to take good care of these kids. We're going to do everything we can to make them feel comfortable. But the moms come in very stressed out with anxiety. And so what he did was he kind of switched what he was thinking. He was like, I'm going to build out a mom's lounge, and I'm going to, make sure that moms come in here and feel comfortable. And it accomplished a couple things for him. The first was, okay, these moms are like, this is great. This is about me. This isn't a bunch of screaming kids running around. This is, not what I expected in a pediatric dental office. But the other thing was he didn't love for parents to come back while the kids were back there. He certainly let them. He understood the need for that. But he found that this was going to help him, be able to spend more time with these kids, be a little bit more productive that way, then bring the parents back towards the end of their appointment. So it really did help him to think about his blueprint as he was going through this branding process, or think about branding as he was building out his practice. So what I want you to do is think about right now, all right, if I'm going to go, it'd be great if you could buy property. I hope that happens, just very difficult to do now. But you're going to get this 10-year lease. So you need to be thinking about, all right, what's that goal in 10 years? Am I going to expand? Is this going to be a 2-doctor practice? How many operatories are we going to have, assistants, things like that? That's incredibly important. But also the milestones that you need to hit to make that happen. So in a later episode, we'll talk briefly about finances, but I want to talk about 3 key people here that you need to talk with before you do anything. And I don't, necessarily have connections, make money off of financial people at all. That is not my realm. But I have just found that when people take this step, it is very beneficial for them. They get started on the right foot, and their relationship with money starts off very healthy. And that's what you need when you're doing a startup, because you are going to go from making a lot of money to, struggling in those first months. So first off, a dental specific accountant. So they can actually help you put together a business plan, not just so the bank sees it, but just kind of so you have an idea and you're thinking about those things that you wouldn't have thought about. Second, I would get a dental specific financial advisor. Now, this is different than what you're probably thinking, because you're like, I'm getting ready to put a lot of money into this. Why do I need to think about how I invest my money? That's not really what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about here is you want somebody that does planning, that knows your personal finances and knows what you want to accomplish with your business, with the dental practice, so they can help you at those times when it's like, okay, at what point financially am I okay to hire a hygienist, or, hire a second person at the front desk, or, what's a comfortable place to be with my expenses. And, by the time the accountants and the financial advisors plan through that, you'll be in great shape and have a lot of confidence. That third person is a banker. And I would, banking to me is no longer a commodity. It's not like, hey, what's the cheapest interest rate? Make sure that you find somebody that you can call and they answer the phone. Not They don't sell it and it gets handed off to some internal system and you never get, because in these first couple years of a startup, being able to talk to your banker and strategize with your banker is crucial. So, what these engagements look like are up to you. How long you need them for, that's up to you. But I do feel this is crucial in that initial build out. So most of the time I see startups work exclusively with suppliers, on designing and building out. So I want to mention that real quick. Have those conversations with those advisors. Let them help you there. Then, yes, it's important to work with your suppliers, but find, when you're looking for these properties, find a commercial real estate agent that has good connections, that has your best interests at heart, because they're going to be very important during the build out. They'll be gone after you open most likely, but during that build out, you need somebody fighting for you. Have a good commercial real estate agent. So those are kind of the 3-4 people you need to be thinking about. And that is incredibly important about your blueprint. Next episode, we'll get into demographics. That's going to be huge too, because you don't want to just, go find a cheap place to put an office, but it's not the types of people you want to work with and work on, but it's also the services you're going to be able to provide are limited. So we'll talk more about that. So in most cases, what you're going to do, I mentioned this before, is look at capacity first on this build out. Will this practice eventually have 8 operatories, 2 dentists, 4 hygienists, 4 assistants, 3 admins? What are we going to do? What is the space in this office going to be used for? Do you need closed door space for people that are doing insurance verification, working with patient management? Do you need a conference room and a treatment planning room? Most people don't need both, but again, think about the end in mind. When you get to capacity, a doctor's office, I see a lot of people do big doctor's offices. That's great down the road for when you have 2 doctors. But if you're not going to need that, why, something you're not going to be in a whole lot, you just don't need it. So whether you're thinking about maybe down the road doing additional practices after this one or not, you need to ask yourself, if I no longer practice in this office, but I still own it, what is that going to look like? Who are the people involved? And really, how do I need to build this out for that type of success? I don't necessarily push people and say, hey, you got to build out 4 or 5 practices. But if you get really great at a startup and you get great at a startup quick and you're able to build it and let other people run it, and you can go do another one, by that 3rd, 4th, 5th practice, you can step away from dentistry and have this passive income coming in that far exceeds your current income. So it's really great, because as a dentist, this is an area most people don't take advantage of. They think about, I'm going to sell one day and make money off of it. Or, I may buy a bunch of practices and sell it to a DSO. That's not really what I'm seeing. I don't have a crystal ball. I think that the direction to go here is more on that passive income, or just build a lifestyle practice for yourself that, you're comfortable working in until you decide you don't want to. So I would suggest, because people do ask me this, and I'll just go ahead and throw it out here, the 2 doctor practices work best. If you're going to grow and you're going to scale, you need to have an associate at some point. So vacations are covered. You don't have downtime. And let's just face it, it's kind of the whole capitalist thing works on, other people working for you and making money for you. So I would definitely think about building it out for 2 doctors. And then, think about what type of experience you want your team to have every day in that office. It's so hard, because you don't want to have a huge break room, cafeteria, things like that, but it needs to be comfortable for them when they have some downtime. So definitely think about your staff. Think about how people come in and flow through your office. Do you want people all checking in and checking out at the same place? I mean, you have that opportunity not to do that. What type of technology? Is it going to be digital? Do you need a front desk? I see some people now that are just going to kind of, I don't want to say kiosk, that makes it sound cheap. It's not like that, but it's just very, minimalistic, checking in on iPads, very friendly and open. And, if you're listening to this and you've already built out your practice, keep listening, right? I mean, you can make tweaks to your office all day long. Those small changes will definitely help if you want to do some cool things. Keep moving forward, make those changes as you need to. But for those of you that haven't built out yet, you definitely need to be thinking about all the things I was just talking about. So like I said, next episode, we're going to be talking about demographics, Choosing an ideal location means everything. See you then.